Hello, friends. Welcome to Mostly Harmless. I'm your host, Damn It Damien. Buddies, I'm back. For those of you who didn't know, Mostly Harmless was a punk rock podcast I did for about 5 years. We took about a 4-year hiatus to deal with like legal drama and stuff that's still going on. But, as if the year 2020 couldn't get any worse, I'm bringing Mostly Harmless back, friends. So we're back today with episode 1 of version 2.0. It's going to be a brand new video series. You can still download the podcast wherever you get podcasts from. But my mom is always like, I don't know how to listen to podcast. How can I just watch? So here we are on YouTube. For this first episode, I sit down and chat with my old friend Geoff Brent. Geoff is, of course, the owner of the Black Sheep. He is the former GM of the Summit Music Hall. He is a talent buyer here in Denver. He's the bass player of Cheap Perfume. He's the co-host of Taking Back Mondays on Mondays at the Matchbox here in Denver. I'm sure I'm forgetting a whole lot of things. All around great dude, Geoff Brent, 100%. My goals here today were to talk to Geoff about how he went from a record store clerk to running and owning his own music venues all around Colorado. We talk about what the Black Sheep means to him, what he looks for in bands, what he thinks bands should be doing right now, and really just an overall look and feel of what it's like to work behind the scenes in the music venue industry here in Colorado. We also talk, today is Giving Tuesday. We also talk a lot about how important the Save Our Stages campaign is. Today being Giving Tuesday, please go donate to Save Our Stages. Listen to Geoff's plea at the end of this video. If you skip any and everything, please go listen to Geoff talk about how important it is to save our stages there towards the end of this little chat. Also, with Mostly Harmless 2.0, we're going to be spotlighting a lot more nonprofits. That's kind of my goal, is to just kind of bring your attention to things that make the world a better place. So please, in the YouTube comments or on the website or on Facebook, please let me know what your favorite nonprofits are and why, and then we'll look into it and hopefully we'll feature them on a future episode of Mostly Harmless 2.0. And if you like what we're doing here today, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our Instagram page. Follow us on all those places. All the links are right down below. That's how we book guests. They look at our numbers. They're like, oh, hey, yeah, this guy's got an audience. Let's book him. We also have a Patreon where I'll show you even more behind the scenes of Mostly Harmless and the people we interview. And without any further ramblings, here's my chat today with Geoff Brent. Geoff Brent, 100%. How the hell are you, my dude?
What's up? I'm doing good. How are you?
Man, it's doing all right, man. I'm happy to see your face.
You too.
Thank you for being the first guest on this new Mostly Harmless 2.0. I'm sure you're sitting there in your house right now going like, Damien, why the hell did you ask me to be the first guest on the show right now?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I figured you might. So I'm going to tell you, hopefully real quick, hopefully I won't ramble too much, but you've always been incredibly supportive to me for whatever strange reason. Like ever since I was a little kid running around in the Springs, you always like took care of me. And I anytime over the course of the many years we've both worked behind the scenes of music, anytime I want to ask somebody for advice, you were always somebody who would give me, you were very straightforward. And then you keep popping in my head because you just bought a goddamn music venue.
Yeah. I bought a music venue in July of 2019, which is for the Black Sheep. For people who don't know, it's the Black Sheep in Colorado Springs, which I was the first GM of from 2005 to 2010. So it's kind of like this like dream world scenario where it's like, oh my God, I get to like, I mean, as the GM of a place like that, you kind of like are the architect, and you kind of like, I mean, I think I can take like a little bit of credit for the success of the place and it being open for 15 years. And so it's like, wow, I get to like own this. How cool. And then 9 months later, we're closed for indefinitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah. Well, for those people out there who don't know, I worked at the Black Sheep for a little less than 2 years. You were very instrumental in bringing me into the Black Sheep and making that happen. I don't know, man. That's just such a great place, and I'm so happy that you're the owner of it nowadays. But I got to ask you, when I first met you, you were this smarmy 20-something-year-old working at Independent Records in Fountain, Colorado.
Yeah.
Had I
Shout
come
out
back in
Mountain.
time, and told Geoff Brent that he would own Industrial Nation one day, what the hell would have you have thought?
Like in economics class, when I was a senior in high school, we had to do like a really half-assed exercise where we started our own business, and mine was like a concert venue that also like had a bowling alley, which wasn't a thing at the time. Now Brooklyn Bowl is like huge, had it's had its own bowling alley, and I think probably also a skate park, knowing me in high school. What you're talking about, we're probably talking about 2002, 2003. Like I met some of like people who are still like some of my best friends in my whole life going to that building in like 1996, 1997. The amount of times that I was like, I want to own this place versus the amount percentage that I actually thought that was ever going to be possible. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's really cool. Even now, even after the last 9 months, it's still like a really cool thing to me, and um, I'm proud that I was able to buy it, and I'm proud that we've been able to make it this far through this whole thing.
Yeah, congratulations.
I think
What
I've
was
learned a lot about like operating under some situation that's 10 times worse than what you thought the worst case scenario was. So someday things will be back to normal, and I think at this point nothing would shock me.
you're going to have a series of Juggalo shows to save the black sheep?
We'll do it. We'll do whatever it takes.
So how did this journey begin from just humble guy working for Soda Jerk to becoming the Geoff Brent 100% that we know today?
It's a long journey. I mean, I would say like it
Let's
actually.
do, let's do the Clips Notes version. How did you get
Yeah,
started in the music
we'll
biz?
go as short as we can. So you mentioned independent records. That was really kind of the start of everything for me, because I had all these friends in bands. I just wanted to be like more involved in the scene, and part of me working at a record store was that I could like help my friends in bands out with stuff a little bit, which led to me being like a big like street team. Not I don't know if that was a thing at the time, but like for layman terms, from Colorado Springs, who were on Soda Jerk Records, which led to, once Soda Jerk started doing shows in Colorado Springs, I kind of put myself out there as like guy who would work for beer, which led to me like doing some running shifts, some merch shifts at 32 Blue, which led to me kind of being like the number 2 guy for Soda Jerk in Colorado Springs under Mark Peralta. Quickly led to me being the GM at the Black Sheep as soon as it opened, and then being GM at Summit once it opened in Denver in 2010. And then 2016, I became like a full-time talent buyer, which is not that different, but just more of like an office job. When Live Nation bought Soda Jerk, I went to Live Nation. I'm trying to get this light back on. Sorry.
It's all good.
So yeah, I guess that's the clip notes. I guess it started. I guess the best thing I can say is like in the music industry, there's so many people who want to be involved. Probably not. Probably like 10% of those people have like the drive to really do the like grueling bullshit hours that are involved and thankless work that's involved. And then of those 10% of people, probably like 25% of those people actually get like an opportunity to get in and like show what they can do. And like, I mean, it's not worth it to a sane person. And then there's a lot of people who probably deserve a shot to be like where I'm at, who like just didn't get the opening, like it's kind of, there's always going to be a little bit of right place, right time, no matter how pure your intentions are and how hard you're willing to work. Like sometimes you just gotta like hope that the person ahead of you does something else, because
Yeah.
otherwise there's always just going to be a person ahead of you and you're going to be stuck where you are. So
Yeah, I mean, when I worked at the Triple Nickel for years, I did it literally for free. People were like, "How much? You only paid us $30. How much are you getting tonight?" And I'm like, "I got a picture of free PBR, and but look at me now. Here I am. You own a house, you own a car, you own a music venue. I'm begging for people to subscribe to my Patreon. So obviously, one of us did this right, one of us did it wrong."
I mean, I will say that I had 3 jobs at the beginning of this year, and I have 0 jobs right now, other than, I guess, 4 jobs if you want to count owning a music venue. 1 job if you still count that as a job, but it's a job that makes negative many thousands of dollars right now. So,
Yeah. Are you still an active talent buyer?
just
Once,
for the black sheep right now.
okay. So when
Um,
things reopen, just the black sheep.
we'll see what happens.
Okay,
I don't
I
know. I
understand.
mean, I'm technically furloughed. I work for Live Nation right now. I'm furloughed since September. I don't know how long that will go on for.
Yeah. Well,
And
sorry
I
to bring
don't.
it down.
No, no, it's cool. And I mean, that's the facts of the matter. And I don't know what where I'll be or what'll be going on when they're in a place to bring me back. Like maybe I'll go back, maybe I won't. Depends on what else comes up in the meantime. Yeah.
So how do you go from being this like cog in a machine to being the owner of the black sheep? How did that happen? How did you take control?
Well, I mean, Mike sold his Denver venues, the Marquee and Summit, to Live Nation. Um, I don't think they were interested in going into Colorado Springs, and I think I just, I kept in touch with them for, I guess it was like a year and a half after that, like here and there we talked, and I think he recognized that it would mean a lot more for me. I mean, I had talked to him multiple times, like that owning my own venue, my own bar, whatever, was something that was like really what I was looking to go to. And he knew that for years. And he was just like, "Hey, I happen to have something that I can sell you. You might want. And we made it happen. He was more than fair to me with the deal, and I was lucky enough to be able to actually buy it with cash last July, which is probably the only reason we're still open, because if I had had to take out some kind of huge loan and was running on fumes, like when everything shut down, then we probably would be closed already.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I want to get into how we can save the black sheep, but we're going to save that for a little bit further down the end. But what I want to know is like, I mean, the black sheep, but it is just a concrete block shithole when you get down to the end of it. But you helped to make that special. But what makes that place special for you, Geoff Brent?
the staff is 100% like the first answer, and it has been since 2005. It's always been whoever was working there. But I mean, if you want to talk about like, this is all right, this is just the beginning because I'm just saying the staff, but like, you want to talk about the staff, like, I was the first GM. I was there for 5 years. The next 2 GMs, in whatever order you want to put them, were Huffy and Jeremy, who were both there when we opened in 2005. Jeremy left in 2017. And now we have Kevin, who was, I don't think we hired him in 2005 because I think it would have been like 15, but we hired him like as soon as he was 18, if not maybe when he was 17 even. Don't tell anybody. But it's like, it's a small music scene there, and the fact that everybody who has ever been in charge of that place has been a huge part of the music scene is huge, I think. But besides the staff, I mean, and Jackie, who's our assistant GM, like, I think I met her when she was 14 or 15 going to shows, and we put her like on staff when she turned 18. It's just like, and that was before I left. So our AGM has been there for 12 years at this point.
Yeah.
It's just like, when you're there, you don't leave. There's no reason to leave. besides that, I mean, it is a concrete shithole, kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
It has, I will say, it has like, I guess I don't want to say it has a great layout, but it has a very simple layout. It's all you need. You can see the stage from the entire back of the room. I don't think there's a venue in Denver that's that size that is as cool as the Black Sheep. You know, like it's a great room for like watching a show. I think people like discount that where they're like, oh, it's in a shitty neighborhood, it's made of cinder blocks. But it's like, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, it's had a great PA the whole time it's been open. The lights have been great for at least 10 years now. For actually watching a show, it's pretty fucking sick. Like you can't do much better. Like there's no poles in your way. Like it sounds good, it looks good. It's kind of like all you need. There's no like VIP experience, and the bathrooms are what they usually are in a room that size, whatever. And it's still in a shitty part of town, but you don't go to shows to hang out with the people in the neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, I think it gets a little like undersold as what it actually is. Cause I mean, it's like a marquee Bluebird size room. And it's like, I would rather see a show there than either of those places. Colorado Springs scene thrives when there's a good theater room, because the Black Sheep is obviously it's a big venue for a local band. I mean, it's a big venue for a local band in Denver. I can think of maybe 10 bands off the top of my head who would play at 500 cap in Denver. So in Colorado Springs, there's even less for sure. And I think when the Colorado Springs scene has thrived, it's had a good like an H.W. Briggs, a High Life House, a Flux. You know, it needs something like Rocket Room, Triple Nickel at times, you know. But I mean, the Black Sheep can't be the Colorado Springs music scene because most local bands in any city are playing to 100 people or less, you know. So a 500 cap isn't where you build your music scene. I think with an eye towards that, we're trying to just expand our footprint, and I'm trying to really invest in. I'm trying to like open a new place or two down there, and I'm trying to really like actually invest in the city and the music scene in the city and giving bands a place to grow up doing something. I think if you look at the smaller venues down there, it doesn't necessarily make sense which ones work and which ones don't. I think there's a lot of like luck there. I think there's a lot of like right place, right time there. But I like believe that we can make a smaller venue that will like allow bands like room to grow, be complementary to the Black Sheep, get bands like started in a way where they're headed to like where they're selling 300 tickets and they need to play a place the size of the Black Sheep. Besides that, I think the city's kind of doing what it needs to do on its own, which is that it's growing really fast. The demographics are changing a lot. Like there's still a huge percent that's like military, obviously. The whole like this is Christian suburbia slash military, that's all it is. Like that's changing really fast. The people who are moving there are like 25. They want to live in Denver, but they can't afford it, or they just don't get why they would pay that much to live in Denver. And I think it's gonna be, I think like part of saving the music scene in the city is just gonna be like the people that we need there to go to shows are like going there now. Slowly but surely. I think Denver is looking a lot less appealing to a lot of people, and Colorado Springs looking more appealing to the same people. So
Yeah, honestly, I'm like, damn, I should have bought a house in the Springs 2 years ago. What was I thinking? Ugh.
I was gonna buy a house down there. We started looking like at the beginning of the year, and part of it I was just gonna kind of like split my time. I can like barely afford a house in Colorado Springs right now.
Yeah,
Like I could, but it's probably not the time.
you've always taken a chance on people like me, on newer, younger bands. What do you look for in a new band that's getting ready, getting started, and getting about to hit the stage?
I look for I look for shit I like. Like number one, if I'm just like this is good, that's the number one thing. I mean, I think I can recognize when there's shit I don't like, but I'm like, oh, someone's gonna like this. This is worth money. You know, there's kind of like two sides, and I think any talent buyer probably feels the same way, where there's like, okay, this I don't like this. This is worth money, and then there's like, this shit is great. Like, you know, to me, it's like the biggest honor you can have as a talent buyer is like when you see a band really early and are like, I'm putting some work into this, like I'm gonna make it happen, I'm gonna like help in any way I can, and like I'll lose money on this band like 5 times because I think they're gonna be big. Like the 1 in 10 times that actually pays off. And you're just like, I mean, I couldn't even like start to tell you the amount of bands I've seen opening shows or headlining shows to 30 people that
Like,
are like now huge, you know.
well, first one that pops in my head is K-Play. K-Play used to play
Yeah.
the Black Sheep to 30 people and is selling out the Fillmore now.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, there's it goes on and on, but like that's the best feeling. And someone like K-Play, like brilliant, you know, like you watch her even 10 years ago, however long that was, and you're like, this is it. Like this is so good, and like I will do whatever I can help this build and help this grow. And a lot of times it doesn't grow, but when it does grow, it's like the biggest, like, you're like, I did it.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything, but just when you know your intuition was right. But there's a lot of bands where I'm just like, I don't think anyone's ever gonna get this, but I will still like try. I will work this to the ends of the earth, you know?
And you've been great at that. Like that's genuinely one thing I think even people in Denver, I think even back when you worked at the Black Sheep full time, would recognize that. You were like, oh yeah, they threw my band on this Chuck Reagan show, and we hadn't even. It was our very first show, and we got to like Tin Horn Prayer. That's who I'm thinking of. Tin Horn Prayer got to play that Chuck Reagan show at the Black Sheep, their very first show, and you did that, and they. For a time they did pretty good. So your intuition's been pretty spot on.
I try. I like love music. My job is to listen to music, and a lot of times pair some music with other music in a way that makes sense. And like, what a great job. Just have to listen to music a lot and know as much about it as possible. I did a lot of stuff the last couple years with like new soul kind of stuff, which isn't necessarily like my go-to. Kind of got an ear for it to the point like where I was just like booked some like really incredible artists, one of whom was on Coachella last year that we played at the Marquee. Like, just stuff where I'm like, I don't totally understand this genre, but I feel like this is really good. And then when you hit on stuff like that, you're like, cool, this is great. And I booked like I think literally the only blues artist I've ever booked in my life, I think, like sold out the Marquee and is getting bigger and bigger and known to be like the new BB King. And I'm just like, I didn't really know what I was doing, but like I felt like when I was booking the show that it was like going to be cool, and it was very cool.
Who was
it? His name is Christone Kingfish Fisher. Incredible show. And like I said, like I was listening to it and I was like, I don't know this genre. This feels big. Like when you can like pick that out, like it's a good feeling. And especially when you can go to the only blues show you go to all year and it's so incredible and you're like, are all blues shows like this, or did I just book the best blues show of the year? I'm going to say option 2 for sure.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, even though I know you have a lot of it. One question I have left before we start wrapping it up. So during this downtime, what should these bands be doing right now to get themselves ready to take that stage, whether it be the Bluebird or the Flux Part 2 or whatever?
Yeah, well, that's tricky, like I'm in 3 bands. I have a DJ night. I have 4 jobs. If you would have asked me in February, I would have just said like all I need is like more time to get everything in order and figure out all this shit, blah, blah, blah. But like having all this time, it's been really stressful and chaotic. I would have been like, man, I can write like, you give me 9 months, I'll write like 4 Cheap Perfume albums. It'll be great. Most people that I talk to creatively are in like kind of a mental fog. The uncertainty constantly and the weirdness of what we're going through right now is like, it's really hard to be creative and So I guess like honestly, my first answer to that question would be like get to the other side. Number one, the best thing you can do is like keep yourself like mentally whole and make it to where you can play a show again. But if you can start a new band, there's gonna be like a good 6 months where there's shows again and there's nobody's on tour yet. So, you know, if you want to play shows, like whenever the first month the venues can reopen, start booking some shows because there's not like there's going to be national bands on tour at that point. So, but I think it's more a matter of like don't put pressure on yourself to come out swinging whenever this is over because it's really about like getting by right now.
Well, one of the things I really want to do with this new like 2.0 video podcast, I want to help support nonprofits and people, places, businesses that need it. My real number one question for you is how can we during these dark times support the Black Sheep?
All your favorite music venues at this point are probably selling some kind of merch thing off their website, whatever. A lot of people are running GoFundMe's. We've been really trying not to, and I've had so many people just be like, how can I donate money to you? I've just been like, man, there's so many other things. Like there's people who are like getting evicted and there's a lot of people. I think if you want to support a venue, buying merch is great. We're selling like the like 5 show for $75 card for the third time since we've had a show. So I mean, but that's like basically like buying stock in a venue. Like I know I can't use this right now, but I would like to go to 5 shows there someday. So here's some money that'll get you through till there can actually be a show again. At the end of the day, I would say like individual contributions, unless you're like fucking Dave Grohl or like somebody with a lot of money who really wants to give us 6 figures or something, like there's not so much directly that a person can do. We need Congress to do shit. And really everybody who's fucking unemployed right now also needs Congress to do shit. The whole fucking country needs a stimulus bill. And the National Independent Venue Association, NEVA, has the Save Our Stages Act, which is hopefully going to be part of the next stimulus bill and will really, I gotta think, like 99% of the venues that are in trouble right now, this bill will bail us out and get us to, I mean, it's literally a matter of like, we are closed. Pay our expenses, help us pay our expenses, our rent, utility, insurance, nothing crazy. No one's trying to like, you know, it's not like give us a bunch of money. It's like we're closed for public health. Like, can you just like pay our expenses so we can afford to be closed for public health until we can have a show? And this bill is great for that. It's like a PPP bill that's specifically designed for venues and restaurants and movie theaters and places that didn't just have to close for 6 weeks, places that were going to be closed for a long time. So I don't know, like people always ask me just like, can I give you some money? And it's like, I really don't want money for not doing anything. If you would like to give me money, buy like the punch card, buy like some merch. Yeah. It just feels weird. If we get to the place where we're about to close, we will do that for sure.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that will benefit almost every independent venue, at least the ones who have made it this far, is the Save Our Stages Act. So the best thing you can do is figure out who your Congress people are and call them about it. Yeah. Write them emails about it. And you probably already did it in like June, and you maybe did it again in like August. Like keep fucking doing it. Like do it once a week. Like I do it every single day. Like it's just like because that's how that shit works. Apparently, we've never had to lobby Congress for anything, you know. But apparently, the way it works is you just need to keep bugging them. And apparently, the amount of volume of emails and calls they've gotten about this already has really put it on the map for them. And we have like tons of co-sponsors, but they on them because apparently they are young people with no attention spans who can't remember something that they did 3 months ago. I don't know. So the more like I would rather have emails right now than somebody sending me $20.
Cool.
I think an email in the long run is going to be worth more than a direct donation.
So I really wanted to ask you, so you bring up a good point about Save Our Stages. They are also seeking donations. What's better? Is it better for us to donate to Save Our Stages to help push these acts through Congress? Or is it better for us to spend that, $20 on buying that Black Sheep t-shirt? Or how much is that hoodie you're wearing right now? That's a pretty sweet hoodie.
It's only $30 and it's like a really high quality, nice hoodie. I highly recommend all of our merch. This is probably counterintuitive to a lot of people, and it's counterintuitive for me to almost say, but I think like the NEVA money is probably going to go farther in the long run to getting us through. If you see the Save Our Stages passed, then feel free to come buy more hoodies. But also, the hoodie's cool. But I mean, you've sold merch. Your money mostly goes to making the shit. Unfortunately, like I don't
It's a
want to
hustle.
discourage anybody from buying it, but you're looking at like $5 or $10 a pop on $20 or $30 a pop, and um, we need like a bill through Congress, like much like everybody does right now.
No, man, that's what I had no idea. I've never heard anybody talking about stuff like this. Maybe I haven't been looking. So thank you for being upright and honest about all this stuff. There's a brand new mural. Tell us about the mural real quick, and then I think we can get you out of here.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, really, Nick Campbell, an old Black Sheep regular who I barely knew because we had I think we're like 7 or 8 years age gap, which is a lot when you're like 25 and he's like 7 or 8. But then he ended up living with me for a year or two, and I knew him from the Sheep. No idea he was like this incredible artist, and I was just like, man, you have to like make 50% more art and smoke 50% less weed. Like seriously. And then I was like, we need to put a mural on this thing. It's ugly. It's the paint job is 20 years old at this point. Like and I hit up a bunch of people. I was talking to like 5 or 6 different people, and Nick was the first person who sent me a design, and I sent it to everybody, and they were just like, that's the fucking thing. So I hit up everybody else and told them not to bother. And honestly, it's like really cool. The like dude is like an incredible artist. He's never done a mural before. It's a huge mural. It's a huge space. Like everybody was on some sort of budget. And he lives in Denver, so he is coming down on weekends. Took us like I want to say like 10 weeks of just weekends, and then Joe Bruno from False Report was out there helping, like, and a lot of random helpers. Like it was hours of work, but it turned out great. I felt good hiring him for his first mural ever because I knew that he wouldn't, even though he hadn't done it before. I knew he wouldn't let it go till it was perfect, and he like didn't, and it looks fucking sick.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's incredible. And we redid the bar, which we had actually planned to do. We're gonna try to do it this like 4 days in March where we like didn't have any shows, and like then we ended up getting shut down like the week before. So that was the first like kind of big decision of coronavirus, where it's just like, well, this is gonna cost like $2,000. Do we spend money on this, or do we just save every penny? If I had known back then how little $2,000 was gonna mean in the grand scheme of this year. But we redid the bar, we redid the floor. I had my whole list of shit I wanted to get done. I was like, let's just do it. Let's make it exactly how we want it. So when we reopen, it'll just be perfect,
Yeah. This is actually a good way to end it. I have this sticker on my desk here, and I was really depressed, and I wrote, how do I make the world a better place? Geoff, how can we together, you and me and everyone else listening, how can we make the world a better place, my man?
Wear masks. Hold on, I've been hoping you would ask. I don't know how we make the world a better place. I think you try not to filter yourself too much, and like try to put whatever shit is in your heart, be it comedy or music or a podcast or political activism or try to fucking like put it out there, even though it's daunting and scary and overwhelming and time consuming. And like I think like most people I know feel like their voices don't matter still. Like, despite like however many times an internet meme has told you otherwise. So create whatever. And like I guess that's the thing, is like I'm like randomly started talking about starting a podcast. Like I have 20 friends who have been like talking about some band they want to do. Like, figure out how to do it. Like it's possible. Everything's possible. And even if your shit's not good, or even if nobody ever pays attention. I don't know if you like saw the Cheap Perfume shit, but like, I mean, we've been a pretty like okay local band for 5 years, and sometime in August TikTok found us and got all super into it, and now we have like streaming numbers like we never thought we could ever have. We're not like, we have not blown up, but I would say we are 10 times bigger right now nationally and internationally than we ever thought we would be. If you were literally like, Damien, your podcast is gonna make one person's life significantly better, fucking go for it. How cool is that? I mean, nobody would not do something if you were like, hey, just this thing you want to do, it's gonna make one person's life cooler.
Yeah. Or even knowing that, you can start at a music venue as an intern and end up owning it one day.
Yeah. Or if they write a letter to their Congress people about the Save Our Stages Act. I will say, I mean, like, the first time Cheap Perfume had like 1,000 listeners on Spotify, we damn near had like a party, and I was just hoping we could like stay at that 4-digit number. And now it's like 22,000. This is like not our friends. This is like people in different cities and states, and they're all 25 years younger than us and way cooler than us, and we don't even know how to use TikTok. But yeah, you never know who's gonna find something. But even I just feel like most people, if you told them like, hey, your stupid idea or your wild idea or your ambition that you think is beyond you is gonna like positively affect like one person, I think people just don't like think about that, like to me it's just like, if one person thinks this is really cool that I don't know, and I like can affect their life in a positive way, like that's like the momentum we need as like a species.
Yeah, my friend, I think that's almost a perfect place to end it. Should we like play, I don't know, this is a video show, should we play a video from Cheap Perfume after this?
That's the only, what I would like to play?
Sure.
You know what I think is cooler than that? Victor took some like rad videos of us at a Seventh Circle show.
Oh, cool.
That if I'm showing people the band, I'm like, this is the way you should watch.
Everybody always likes that.
I think that collectively we all like punching Nazis.
Spencer's got a glass jaw!